Yo, 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 what is up,
Powered by
everyone? Welcome
Riverside
to my
FM.
podcast, Dodgers Unlimited Podcast. I am your host, Rahul. And if you want Dodgers news, please come to my podcast every day, everywhere. We are here. Uh, the Dodgers are coming off a very good few weeks, winning the series against San Francisco, winning the series against the Padres, then winning the series against the Nationals, then winning the series against the Royals, and then sweeping the White Sox. Yes, I know it's the White Sox. They're not a very good team, but the Dodgers taking advantage of games they should win, and they have. The Dodgers now have separated themselves. If you look at the standings, you will see that the Dodgers have a 9 games lead, I believe. 9 games or 8.5 games. That is quite a that is quite a lead they have. Just a few weeks ago, just 3 weeks ago, the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants were all within a game for the lead. And the Dodgers in the last few weeks have beat the Giants, beat the Padres, and beat up the other oppositions that they've faced to get a comfortable lead. This is so important because, and this is so huge because the Dodgers, they don't have half their starting lineup, their starting pitchers. So it's incredible that they're able to create this large lead, and it shows you the depth that the Dodgers have, that they can have such a large, a huge, they can come up with a huge lead. You know, especially when they've had so many injuries. We've also had some unfortunate news, such as Max Muncy hurting his left knee, or was it right knee? One of his knees. Game two against the White Sox. When we first saw the injury, we were like, "Uh oh, this doesn't look good." He might hurt. He might have hurt himself real bad. He might be out for the season. But thankfully, we got good news yesterday that it doesn't seem like uh it's a torn ACL or anything like that. So it seems it's just a deep bone bruise, which is still a pretty significant injury, but it's not as significant as like ACL tear, which would have kept him out probably till the beginning of next year or something. He's gonna miss apparently at least 6 weeks. So there's an optimistic chance that he returns. Maybe in September, or maybe he returns. Definitely be ready by October for the playoffs. We need Muncy for the playoffs because I don't think the Dodgers will have a problem winning this their division, because look, they have a 9 game lead, so it's a pretty comfortable lead they have. And again, the Dodgers are good enough to keep winning, and they're good enough to you know separate themselves, even without Muncy. But in the playoffs, Muncy's someone who's so huge, because when you look at this Dodgers team, the reason why the Dodgers are the best team in the league, and I think by a lot, is that the Dodgers, they have, like, their bottom of the order is like the equivalent of some teams' middle or even top of the order. And that just shows you how good the Dodgers are, that they can have so many they can have so many injuries, and their bottom of the lineup is full of studs. So, Muncy, I hope he gets well soon and he comes back, because, we will need him. And especially, it's so unfortunate because Muncy was kind of in a hot streak. He was on a hot streak, he had the early season struggles, and then he started getting hot like the last month. Like him, Pajes, Will Smith, they were hot, in the last month. They were on a hot streak, you know. Whereas in some players like Freeman, Hernandez, Teoscar Hernandez, Mookie Betts, and sometimes even Otani a little bit. The top of the order didn't necessarily do much. It was really the middle of the order and the bottom of the order, or at least like the 6-7 hitter. Of course, Pajes gets moved around, and Muncy also got moved around. Sometimes lower, sometimes higher. But yeah, I mean, I wish Muncy all the best, and I hope he comes back. Another thing I want to discuss, actually, and this is maybe, I don't want to say it's a concern, because it can become a concern. Like right now, it's not, because the Dodgers are winning, but it could potentially become a concern for the future, which is Teoscar Hernandez's defense in right field. Listen, I think everyone loves Teo, right? He's a great person. His character's great. Nobody hates him as a character. Last year, Teo's defense was horrendous, but no one really cared about it because Teo, he was playing incredible offense. Like this guy, he was, I think, their RBIs leader. I mean, not RBIs leader. I shouldn't say that because that was Otani. I mean, he was like one of their big key players in driving in runs when the top of the lineup was on base, whether it was Otani, Betts, or Freeman. It was really Teoscar, and also Will Smith was also a key. So this year, we haven't had that same performance offensively speaking from Teo. So when Teo doesn't perform like that offensively speaking, it when he starts making these defensive mistakes, it's going to catch our eye more, and it's going to start questioning. It's going to start making us question him more because, okay, if he's playing great offensively, we know he's going to make defensive mistakes because we know he's not a good defensive player. We're okay. We would sacrifice the defense if his offense is really good. We'll take that. The Dodgers' philosophy has always been offense over defense, and they've won a World Series doing this way. So it's definitely something that works. It's a formula that works. But Teoscar Hernandez has to perform offensively because if he doesn't perform offensively, people are going to start questioning him more. And I'm not saying that Teoscar Hernandez is he's in danger of losing his starting position or his he's losing his position in the lineup. But I'm just saying is that like you hear a lot of Teo this year. Like Teo's not worse this year than last year. I mean, he was equally bad last year defensively speaking, but this year we see it more. I guess what we could say, we see it highlighted more because of his lack of offense, right? So we don't see the home runs like last year's, so it's like we don't have anything to celebrate with him. So yeah. So what are some solutions? Because I do think Teo is someone who he's in a little bit of a slump, but I definitely think Teo is going to come out of this slump, and he's definitely someone who's going to be a key member of the Dodgers. And I think what needs to happen now, the problem is this was my original plan with Teo. My original plan with Teo before Max Muncy's injury was that Teo should be moved to left field, Pages should be moved to right field, and Edmonds should play center field. So now you're probably wondering, whoa, that means that no space for Conforto, and that's right, because so Muncy was going to be third base, shortstop was going to be Mookie, second base was going to be Kim, because I really am a huge fan of Kim, and I really want to see him play more. Because I feel like Kim can offer more that maybe Conforto can't, and I'm going to get back to Conforto a little bit later. And obviously Freeman first base, and catcher Will Smith, and yeah, the rest, Otani DH and whatever. But and let me explain actually why I said that though before I go into what ended up happening. Unfortunately, the reason why I say this is because Teoscar Hernandez, one could argue that you could say that left field is actually way more like you're gonna have way more balls because what we keep seeing in right field is that Teo's getting the ball. Maybe he doesn't get to the ball before he doesn't catch the ball before it hits the ground. Especially in like a large outfield, or like there's been moments when he's trying to go close into the ball and he ends up like overstepping it or it gets past him. And then someone like instead of it being a double or a single, they end up getting an extra base. I think that in left field it's gonna be better for him because even though the balls hit more often in left field because righties pull to left field, I think that if Teo makes a mistake in left field, it's not gonna it's gonna be a lower chance of the guy. If let's say it's a double and Teo makes an error, there's a much lower chance of that of the player who hit the double from going to third base on the error because left field to third base is much closer. On right field, if you make an error and someone hits a double, they're going to try to go for three most likely. So that's why I think that, you should move into left field. He's not a good outfielder, Teoscar, and you could even argue that he's maybe worse. I think when you look at outs above average, I believe he was even worse on left field. But again, from this point of view, I would still have him at left field. Pages has an incredible arm, and as a right fielder, having an incredible arm is literally the main thing of a right fielder, right? Because right field to home plate is the furthest distance you can throw. So I would say that put him there. And Edmund, he's a utility guy. He can play center field. His ankle's better, so he'll be mobile again. So he should be playing center field. And I think again, Kim should play second base because I think Kim is someone that should be getting more opportunities. We got to see what he is like. We still don't know that much. He's played great in the limited amount of time he's played, so let's keep seeing him. Let's see his first slump, and let's see how he reacts to that. Because until we know how he reacts, we can't really judge him, or we won't know much about him compared to Conforto. And then talking about Conforto, again, this Conforto idea I had about taking him out of the lineup, putting in Kim in second base, and like the whole outfield the new outfield I told you. This was like a week ago. I thought of this, or it wasn't like just yesterday or today I thought of it. But what's actually happening is Conforto has, like, in the last week or so, played much better. He's made some nice defensive plays. He's also, I think, hit a couple of homers. He's I don't want to say he's getting out of his slump or his horrendous season so far, because only a few games sample or 1 week. But I wonder if Conforto plays like he is playing right now, it might be hard to move Kim into the starting lineup because the Dodgers will give Conforto more chances than Kim. Now, my whole plan was ruined when Muncy got hurt, because now that Muncy got hurt, you could potentially see Edman in third base. I know it's Kike Hernandez and Rojas, but there's a chance we could see Edman in third base. So if Edman plays in third base, that means that Kim will get more time to play, because then Kim would play in second base, and then Conforto would stay in his usual left field position. So this might end up working in the favor of the Dodgers in the way that, like, they can see at the end of the season, or by the time Muncy comes back, they can decide who should be the starter. Like, is it going to be Kim or is it going to be Conforto with the shift? At least I'm talking about offensively speaking, because I think defensively speaking, there's not really a huge separation between Conforto and Kim, right? I mean, Conforto is going to play in the outfield, and Kim, he's going to probably just end up playing second base. So it's just a matter of the shift, because you can move the other players and shift them, right? You can shift Pages to the right field. Like, if you want to play Kim and not Conforto, you can, once Muncy comes back, you can put Pages in the right field and Teo in the left field, or because I don't think the Dodgers will want to put Kim in center field, because Kim has played a few games in center field and he hasn't looked comfortable, because center field is not his natural position. He's playing for the first time, or he played a few games in Korea, in the Korean baseball league, so definitely in the playoffs, they're not going to put Kim in center field, because they're not going to want to risk, a huge important game and, rookie like Kim making a mistake, So he's definitely going to end up playing like second base, which is his natural position. That is if Kim is the one who's the starter. Conforto, if he's the starter, he's going to play left field. They're not going to move him, most likely. Maybe they move him to right field or center, but I think he's going to most likely stay in the left field. But I think this is good. Like, I'm not saying Muncy's injury is good, because it's not good, but this could maybe give Kim more opportunities, and that's good, because then Conforto, who's been playing much better recently, if he continues to play good, that's good too, because we don't want Conforto to stop playing just to give Kim time if he's playing well, right? Because so if both can play, whoever plays better at the end when Muncy comes back, they can decide the lineup then, and that's the great thing. Because again, the Dodgers, they can get away with Conforto or Kim, or the one of them playing bad, and the others isn't playing. They can get away with it because of regular season, but in the playoffs, the Dodgers will want the best lineup, so they would definitely want to present themselves with the best lineup. So that's the thing, when it comes to my situation with like Kim and Conforto. Okay, I gotta also mention this. I mean, I don't know how I didn't mention it yet. Clayton Kershaw getting his 3,000 strikeout. I mean, man, what a moment for Kershaw. I mean, what a moment. What a career, Kershaw's this 18th year, I believe, for the Dodgers. He's had so many legendary moments. He's had so many legendary achievements, and I think this is like maybe one of the biggest ones, or one of the grandest ones, because getting the 3,000 Ks after winning 2 World Series, and maybe even could help them win a third one. Like, it's such a great achievement and just a great celebration of a player, Kershaw. Like, he might be the last person ever to get 3,000 strikeouts, or he might be the last person to get 3,000 strikeouts in a long time. We might not have another 3,000 strikeout player at least 10. I don't think there will be one in like the next 10 years. Maybe 10 years later, there might be another one, like a Paul Skeens, but that's only if he continues the dominance that Paul Skeens continues the dominance. And again, it would be more than 10 years later, because to achieve 3,000 Ks, absolutely incredible. It's a happy moment for him. Congratulations to him and his family. It's a great achievement. And, honestly, like, in the beginning of the season when Kershaw was playing, I'm like, he's too old. Like, and again, I wasn't trying to disrespect Kershaw. I know he's a legendary player, but it's like, I'm like, there's a lot of Dodgers pitchers. I don't know if there's enough space for him or room for him. But, Kershaw, like, he's been showing some fight, especially the past month. He really has, and he kind of has stepped up in a way, because Yamamoto's last month wasn't the best. So he kind of stepped up and he did great. Like even this last game when he was trying to get his third 3,000 strikeout, right? Like he showed a lot of fight, and he's a veteran. Let's not forget he's not a rookie, so of course he's gonna show fight. He's a winner. You don't get 3,000 strikeouts if you're not a winner. So we'll see what happens with Kershaw if he's gonna if he's gonna be a starting rotation guy in the playoffs. I mean, I think he would if he's healthy because it is Kershaw. But I do wonder like what they do because the Dodgers are actually. What's actually interesting is that like they're gonna start getting some of their pitching back. Like Otani's ramping up. Whether he pitches in the playoffs, I think he will because I think Otani's always wanted to. He's ramping up already right now, and by the playoffs, he's probably be ready for a full game, like a full start. Probably even like long before that. Blake Snell, I think he's returning within a month or something. I mean, I don't know. Like I heard there was some positives with him, but Tyler Glass now is the one that's really very close. Like he might even rejoin the team next week or something. Like he just had his rehab start, I believe. Yeah, yesterday, which is Thursday. And he apparently went really well. Like I mean, he threw like around 80 pitches, 5 innings ish, something like that. So he might rejoin the team. So like the Dodgers, if you think about it, they're creeping up, back with their starter. And the last pitch I want to acknowledge is Dustin May. You know, Dustin May was playing yesterday like his life depended on it. And in reality, if you think about it, Dustin May kind of you could say was on the hot seat. And what I mean by the hot seat is like he might have lost. He maybe was looking like he would lose his starting position or starting as in his role in the starting rotation because, like I said, some of these starting pitchers of the Dodgers that are on the injured list, they're coming back. So if they come back, there might not be any space for Dustin May. Like let's not forget, Kasparius is another guy who's been playing well, and he's going to be starting today actually. You know, this other guy, I've always messed up his name for the Dodgers, like Rob Krosky. I don't know how to I'm so sorry, I'm butchering his name. I am not good with long names. Robleski, oh my god, I feel so stupid for messing up his name. Robleski is also showing how he's been playing really well. I've been so impressed with him. So whether these guys are used in like the playoff rotation, it's too far to really know that. Plus, in the playoffs, the Dodgers their rotation would only probably be 4 pitchers. But like May was looking like he might be competing for the 6th rotation guy because think about this. Right now, the rotation is Yamamoto, right? Otani, Glasnow when he comes back, Snell when he comes back, Kershaw. That's 5. So who's going to be the 6th? Dustin May. He's been playing he hasn't been playing well, so maybe Dustin May will be replaced by Kasparius or Robleski. So that's why Dustin May is like competing basically against Kasparius and Robleski. Like Kasparius is starting right now because they don't have Glasnow and Snell back yet. But when these guys come back, they're gonna get priority. Snell and Glasnow are gonna get into the starting rotation straight away. And May, since he hasn't been performing well, at least before his start yesterday, he might be out like of the starting rotation. They might use him in the bullpen. But after yesterday, he proved he's like, I'm still here. Like I'm still here. Like I want to still show you guys that I'm great, or I can do well. So it's definitely great that Dustin May did well, even though it was against the White Sox. It's still great what he did. He had a perfect game going into the 6th inning. Isn't great, incredible. It's positives. I want Dustin May to do well because his stuff is nasty. He just needs to find a way to control it. If he can find a way to control his pitches, man, May is nasty. He's absolute filth. Like it's crazy. And I want to also talk about Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is going to make his 4th start tomorrow against the Astros. I'm excited. I mean, I think everyone is excited, right, to see Ohtani pitch again. I mean, I am excited every time Ohtani steps on the field in general, like even when he's just hitting. But when he's pitching, man, it's like, damn, I get so excited. Like I'm like, oh. And what's crazy is as Ohtani is ramping up, I'm getting more and more excited because I don't want to see Ohtani as just pitching a few innings. I want to see him. I don't want to see him as just an opener. I want to see him as actual starter. Pitch 5 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings, going into games. Strike out 10. I want to see those. These things. I want to see him pitch and hit home runs in the same games. Like he did with the Angels. So like I'm really excited. You know, and in general, I should actually talk about uh actually before I talk about like the Dodgers and Astro series, I will say that I was wondering like maybe should they move Otani down? I mean, actually, I feel like maybe one more start, keep him in the lead, like keep him in batting leadoff, and if he doesn't do well again in leadoff, maybe move him down. Move him down to second or third because I do think that like Otani will probably end up being moved down in the future when he starts pitching like proper stars, like 4, 5, 6 innings. They'll probably move him down because you don't want him to keep coming out leading off an inning, right? Each time because it'll wear on him, because if he does it once in a game, fine, but if he does it twice or 3 times in a game leading off for an inning, it can definitely wear him off. So yeah, but it'll be interesting, because I think Otani is like 0 for 4 with like 4 Ks leading off in the games that he pitched. So it's like leading off in the inning following that he pitched. So it is very interesting to see how this plays out. You know. So talking about the Astros, the Dodgers and Astros series, it's I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun series. The Astros are a good team. The Dodgers are the best team in the league. It's gonna be a great game. The Dodgers have the last few series they played like against the Nationals, Royals, and White Sox. They haven't necessarily been tough opponents, right? This is gonna be a much tougher test. That being said, let's not forget the Dodgers did have 29 straight games against like up teams above 500, and they went what 17 and 12 or something, or no 16 and 13, something like that. They had a really good run, you know um like remember they had to do was stay 500, and they would get to get through that tough stretch, and they did that. And they were even better than 500, and now it's easier. Like I think the Dodgers do have the easiest schedule throughout this to the end of the season. Now obviously they're still going to play tough teams, like they're going to still have a few series that are tough and stuff, but I think the schedule is relatively easy. Uh, Again, it's baseball; anything could happen. But they should have comfortable. They should be comfortable, and they shouldn't be as like they're not going to be 17 and like you've seen what's happened, right? Since they went on that 17-12 run. I mean, it started really with the Padres, and it really started with the Giants. Like the Giants and the Padres series, and then obviously the Nationals and the Royals and the White Sox. Like they've just been on a winning. They've been winning like a lot. So that's something that I think will continue. The Astros will test it, and the Astros are a good team. They're a sneaky team in a way, but it'll be a great matchup, and I'm really excited. And I'm excited to see Otani pitch against the Astros because I want to see him pitch against the best teams, right? Because that's how we can truly find out. Like it's a challenge, and we can see how great and good he's doing. And obviously, even if he pitched against, let's say, the White Sox, it's still impressive, no doubt about it. But definitely want to see the best against the best. So yeah. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode of Dodgers Unlimited podcast. Yeah, I can't even say my own podcast name right. Um, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And just remember to if you like my podcast, just keep on listening. Whichever platform you're listening on, I'm in so many different platforms, right? I'm on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, everywhere. Just subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're on, like whatever you want to do. If you appreciate, I'll really appreciate it if you could do this. Anyway, thank you for joining. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.